Hello and welcome everyone, regardless if this is your first InZynk webinar or if you are a frequent listener. Welcome to you all. We are very excited to have you here, and we have a very exciting topic to discuss and dive into today. I think, Eric, it's quite nice to be co-hosting this webinar again, you and I. It's been some time ago, just because we did this platform launch, then all of a sudden our head of product wanted to jump in and be in the limelight, but now it's back to normal, so that's good. I think you feel the same. And in previous webinars, we have covered, you and I, the power of visibility and really tried to stress the importance of being visible to your top priority accounts. And today, we will discuss how to catch the attention that you want and deserve and drive engagement from your advertising. So before we start, I think it makes sense to have a quick introduction. I think that's in order. Eric, can you start?
Sure. There are some debates out there where you should wave or not in web meetings, webinars, etc. But today I've decided to wave.
I'm a waver as well.
Since I believe this is going to be an entertaining and engaging 30 minutes ahead. Well, my name is Eric, and alongside Christopher, I work as an ABM advisor, meaning that I'm occupied with assisting our largest clients in creating as strong brand and position as possible within their prioritized target accounts. Since we all know branding is the shortcut to win bigger deals and contracts. And InZynk as a company, we are on a mission to support clients across Europe and North America to be able to focus their marketing towards prioritized companies with precision, making it easier than ever before, basically, to position your brand in front of more stakeholders and decision makers more often than in any other channel.
Brilliant. And my name is Christopher. Apart from that, I'm doing on a day-to-day basis basically the exact same thing as Eric. And when we are not involved in client engagements as advisors and project managers, then we're also quite heavily involved in this platform that I just talked about before, the self-service platform, where we have tried to make all that InZynk stands for very accessible to many more clients as well, which is very exciting. So where you can activate visibility on your own in minutes to the accounts that matter the most for your organization. Good. I think let's just have a quick look at the agenda for today. We will cover some context to the complexity of standing out in terms of advertising and what to think about to get that attention. We'll also look at common mistakes that we quite often see, Eric, which I think is quite exciting. Then it's actually time to head into our platform where we will visualize an ad in line with those common mistakes that we have just talked about, and then turning that into a good ad based on the best practices that we try to use. So I think this will be really exciting. I think it's time to get started. And Eric, can you just start answering a bit on the complexity here?
Well, everything that has to do with marketing, I think, is complex by itself, especially nowadays with all communication being thrown almost at us. We've found researches showing that a normal human being, as us, watching TV, listening to podcasts, radio, just walking, is exposed to somewhere in between 6,000 to 7,000 marketing and ad messages and brands per day. So the noise is huge and massive out there. And not only that, since there are so much noise, it's super hard to get attention. We found that 91% of ads and communication get less than 1 second of attention. I think the average time spent on a display ad nowadays is 0.8 seconds. So you really need to be fast to show sort of the value for your target in order to earn hopefully more than 1 second. Because if you're not relevant and personal, well, then you will be some of those that get less or even less than 0.8 seconds.
And what are the most important things then to consider to actually stand out and get attention from your ads?
Well, in our case, it's, I wouldn't say easy, but since we are all about going after prioritized target accounts and we see that, or our clients see that as their target audience, you really need to know them. And as soon as you start to know and who you're targeting, you need to create attention by what we think almost mirroring your audience, their organization, their products or services, or their industry. Your communication must always answer the question, what's in it for them? And when having this in mind, you can easily become creative and then pick up things that resonates with the target audience and will be somehow eye-catching, recognizable, and personal for them specifically, which then automatically will make you relevant towards them. Just to sum it up, just by being personal and relevant, is that enough though? That might be the easier part, but then what? I think you have a better answer.
Yeah, I mean, I find that it's, of course, when you know exactly the company that you want to target, it's definitely much easier to become relevant for that account. Hopefully, you know a thing or two about them. But you're absolutely right. It's a wonderful start to be relevant, but it's definitely not enough to be relevant once or twice, particularly not if you are involved in quite lengthy sales cycles and everything. You really need to think about the frequency to make it stand out properly and create the effect that you want, essentially. And we've talked about mere exposure effect before in previous webinars, Eric, and like basic human psychology plays a big part here. And this phenomenon, it kind of describes our human tendency to develop preferences for things merely because we are familiar with them. It's kind of in our instinct in a way. And of course, most marketeers, they are already leveraging this to their advantage and know about this. It's incredibly effective. And with today's tools, it's easy to create this effect as well. So frequency over time is key, I would say. Good. A little bit on the background. Now, Eric, let's get real and let's look at some of these common mistakes that we see. Take it away.
Right. Well, these past 12 years now that I've been doing almost the same thing in terms of account-based marketing programs, I've seen my fair share of pretty poor ways of trying to communicate. And the 4 that I've listed here, I think, are the most common ones. When we say me, myself, and I, one of the most common things I see is that there's an inside and out perspective on almost everything you see. Companies try to position themselves before anything else. And I try to use the analogy of B2B marketing being close to dating. It might sound weird at first, but when you think about it, when you're trying to date someone and you're on that first date, if you speak about yourself for, let's say, 2 hours, I think it's hard, if not impossible, to get that second date. You need to be interested in, it's weird to say prospect about someone that is a potential partner, but you see what I mean in the analogy here. You can't talk about yourself, not in dating, and very much not so in business to business marketing. It has to be about them. So that's the first thing that we usually see. The other thing is that companies tend to be very generic. maybe because they have an issue about knowing who their target audience is. In our case and with our clients, they usually know who they're targeting, so it's easier to be more specific. But still, we see a lot of generic communication out there saying very much about basically nothing. The third one, which I think is the most challenging one, is how you present yourself in text, so the copy in the messages. It's the hardest thing ever, I think. It's a craft itself to create short messages that resonates with your target audience. Creating long copies is fairly easy. You can just write and write and write to put everything in there. But like we mentioned before, you have approximately 0.8 seconds to grab someone's attention. You cannot be too long. You have to be super short, super relevant.
I also find that like the first 2 points that you mentioned, if you're just talking about yourself, me, myself, and I, and you have the element of being generic, obviously you probably have a lot to say about yourself in a generic way. So it's incredibly difficult to then be short and concise.
Exactly. And then there's the fourth mistake that we see. Going back to the analogy of dating, the conversion frenzy. I don't think that every communication or marketing that you do has to convert somehow. The visibility is just is enough. It brings so much value just being visible out there. But we see so much click here to download this. There are form films that you hide information behind. I think you have to be generous with your knowledge and don't hide it behind form fills and downloads. People want to be exposed to and join conversations, not conversions. So going back to the analogy of dating, I don't think, at least I haven't tried to like kiss someone on the first date without even telling my name. But
First
still,
5 minutes.
Yeah, just leaning in for the kiss without even knowing who you're trying to kiss. And still you see that pattern being done as a common strategy in business to business marketing. You lean in for the kiss with prospects that you don't even know. They definitely don't know you. Still you want to have this conversion. So we find it weird that the conversion frenzy is out there. You have to be able to be more generous with your knowledge.
I agree. And as we mentioned previously, we have tried to at least tick some of the boxes here. So we actually have a visual what this could look like. So here we have created an ad, which I'll just give you 0.8 seconds to read it.
Done.
So, I mean, the message in itself here, we talk about, making sure you are visible, you stand out to the accounts that matter. I mean, you've already heard that phrase in this webinar, becoming a known and correctly positioned brand and all of that. I mean, those messages are, we think at least, good and something that we use over and over again. But as you can see in this ad, it becomes way too long. It's very generic. We are only focusing, we're talking about ourselves. We have our platform in the image. We are even mentioning InZynk, the first word in the copy and in the call to action, which is completely unnecessary. We have the logo, which is definitely enough. And at least, I don't know what it's like for everyone else, it would be very exciting to hear your thoughts about this example as a bad example in the comments. But for me to even understand this, I really need to focus my brain. I have to read everything in here, which is kind of the opposite to what we want to achieve. We want it to pop, and you should be able to get the message without really having to focus your brain. Do you have any other input, Eric?
No, I'm curious about how to develop this
exactly
into something that actually resonates and creates attention.
Yeah. Then let's dive into the platform, then I will try to share my screen instead. You can see this. We have the same ad here. Brilliant. We are now inside the InZynk platform. And so we have the ad that you just looked at here. You can also see that we have the same ad in all the different sizes that are recommended. And before we turn this into a better ad, at least in our perspective, I just want to show you a pretty cool feature here. So everything in here is highly customizable. If we want to move the logo, I can just drag and drop. Same with the image. Maybe I want to have the call to action somewhere else, then I can just drag and drop whatever I want. And in case I want to change the copy as an example, in this case, I'm just shortening it just to provide an example, then automatically the new copy will be updated on all the different sizes. So it's incredibly quick and easy to create ads here. At least I think this is a pretty cool feature to do. But I'm not convinced that this is the best ad, even though we have shortened the copy a little bit. So obviously we're not going to disclose actual prospects that we are talking to. But Eric, let's take a role of you being the account executive and I am the marketing manager here. So you've come to me asking for support in some of the deals that you are working on. So the first point, as always, in here is to understand what account we are targeting. So in order for us to create a relevant ad, we need to know who we are targeting. So can you give me an example of one of the top theoretical deals that you are working on?
Right. Well, I'm very fond of Finnish companies somehow. I don't know why, but I just love them. So let's take one of the interesting ones that I've actually have met before called Kone, doing elevators, escalators, and such.
Good examples. Yes, straight off the bat, I'm thinking, of course, you can leverage their business in a pretty nice way. Elevators, we can talk about elevating things and, escalators, etc. So what is the conversations about with them that you are not having, but in this case having, just so that we can phrase this in a good way? Challenges.
Well, the thing they have seen that they need to work more on is the collaboration between sales and marketing, because they don't have they're such a known brand, so they don't have an issue building pipeline. People, when building an escalator, you will always ask Kone and some other competitors of theirs, but it's not the pipeline issue that they have. It's rather to close as many deals as possible within pipeline.
Okay.
So sales and marketing are discussing how to increase win rates within pipeline, basically, and being us as the support to that.
Brilliant.
So if we can do something around that.
Good. Then let's start editing this a little bit. Let's start with the image that we obviously want to change because we don't want to focus too much on ourselves, even though I think in some cases it might be nice to actually maybe send in you, Eric, here as the
make me known.
Exactly. We want to push you as the super expert specifically to Kone because you are obviously talking to them. But that's not what we want to do here for this example. So let's take
will make it stand
image.
out, but
exactly. Let's then instead actually play with their business around escalators. So I just need to put this up here. I think already this actually looks much better, but we also want to strengthen, I think, the messaging a bit here. So in your conversations with Kone, is this kind of tied to an account-based marketing program, or are they referencing this as something differently?
We are talking about account-based marketing in that. So what I really like would like to do is also connect InZynk to account-based marketing as the sort of solution to their challenges, which is then to increase win rates within pipeline, mainly becoming a word that comes up a lot in our conversations is being a thought leader.
Okay, then I have some ideas. Sometimes we do this. I think for this case, I think that makes sense. I'll just put that here. So just drag and dropping a little bit. So sometimes I think it can be quite nice to have like smaller text just to kind of phrase or frame the overall topic that we are trying to address here. So I'm putting account-based marketing in there, and let's do something which translates more into what you just said. Become the thought leader for your pipeline accounts as an example. And maybe we want to have this text a little bit bigger. We want this to pop. And let's also use the call to action button, not just to read more, because every word matters in here. So that's a big recommendation, at least on our side, to use it to further emphasize your message. So let's just take something. Of course, we are dealing with an escalator company. We have the escalator here in the image. So that kind of goes without saying, escalate your influence, as an example. I'm pretty happy with this one.
Same here.
For Kone.
It's a lot about them, a lot about the value that account-based marketing brings, and we connect InZynk to it. I think it's eye-catching because it's the elevator in behind, or the escalator in behind. We use escalate in the copy. I think it takes less than a second to read it. So yeah.
Good. Shall we activate?
Towards Kone, yes, please.
Yes, please. Then that will take me about a minute. We're not going to show you those steps now. That's the previous webinar that our head of product managed before. But I can assure you it takes just a minute to actually get this up and running, visible towards, in this case, Kone. Good. Then let's move back into the presentation, and we have created a guide. It would be a lot of fun to hearing your thoughts on the good example as well. Do you agree with us or not? We can maybe spend a minute or two in the Q&A later on that, but very keen to hearing your thoughts. What I was saying, we have also created a guide for creating ads that pop and stand out and gets the attention. It's available on our website under resources, I think, and it will also be sent out to all of you that are listening in to this webinar. So a recommendation on our side to follow when you are doing this account-based in this way. Good. We have a few minutes for Q&A. Do we have anything?
Yeah, we have a question. Can we upload our own ads instead of making them in the ad generator in InZynk? Yes.
Yes.
It is possible.
Definitely.
What a boring answer. Yes.
Yes. You don't have to, but you can. In some cases, I think, Eric, you also had an example like that, where a client of ours, they said that they've been spending essentially days to create ads in all the different sizes and everything.
Yeah, it took her. Oh, sorry.
No, jump in.
It took her. She was just impressed by the ad generator because it usually took her 30 minutes in InDesign, in her case, to create one format for one ad. And as you saw, we need at least there's somewhere between 6 to 7 formats. That sums up to a few working hours, and then you might want to go with just not one message, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and that sums up to a week of ad creation. You need to come up with an ad, ad industry
from days
internally.
from days to minutes.
Yeah,
essentially
instead.
is the idea. But of course, if you are super skilled and you can create ads that you are happy with, definitely just upload them into the platform and activate it to the accounts you want to be visible for. Absolutely. Eric, we have another question here. If I want to target a company that doesn't have imagery on the website that is I'm just reading, that is directly linked to their offering, what type of imagery should I use in the ads? So obviously for Kone, that's a quite easy example because we have the elevators, we have the escalators, but in case you are targeting a company where it's not that clear, what can we think about then?
Well, just be as creative as possible, trying to find something that maybe connects to the industry instead. Like the escalator case, but if they don't have certain things, I guess their industry must have something, or the actual solution to the problem that they have would be some ideas.
I think you can, sometimes we tend to, like when it's difficult to find that image, which we did for Kone, sometimes you can also mirror their colors and the kind of look and feel a bit to also get the attention. But most of the times you can find at least like a phrase or a word or something that connects with their offering, what they are selling, or something which we can also use in the imagery, I think. Like for targeting InZynk with ads, it's quite difficult to find an image related to our industry, perhaps, that gets our attention. But then you can play with, the name of the company, InZynk. You can use that in the copy, out of sync, InZynk, and maybe use an image which is more correlated to and connecting to being out of sync or in sync, etc. But if you're struggling with it, please reach out, because there's a lot of people at InZynk that loves to be creative about these things. But
we got a question in where in the platform do we upload the ads? It's under creatives, and then I guess it's new creative. Then you just
drag and drop.
Yeah, drag and drop the zip file. We got another question. I saw it pop out somewhere here. Is the recommended ad formats based on the standard formats for each different target market? Yes, there are standard formats that will then make you being able to be seen on all the global news sites that you can come up with. So not maybe everyone will be used, but just to be secure, the 7 that we recommend are the ones most used globally.
Quick last one, Eric. I can see one here. In our company, brand guidelines are very strict, and I don't think we would be allowed to make a lot of changes, even for this type of one-to-one advertising. Any suggestions what to do then?
Well, first of all, what we do is to talk to the brand guideline team and explain what we're actually doing, since they might think that these ads will be visible for everyone and then destroy the guidelines that you want to stay firm to. When you explain them that there's only these specific target accounts that will see them, they usually see a bit more with ease on this strategy. But if they're still super hard and stubborn, I think it's a good way at least to go halfway. So keep your brand guidelines, your colors, your fonts, etc., but try to find at least words that connects with the target account of choice. For example, like with Kone, they try to use escalators when targeting an escalator company, or cars when going after Volvo, and in the images as well. So you can stay firm and strict to your brand guidelines, but try to use the copy and the image at least, in order to be as personal and relevant as possible.
And just to add to that, because the copy that we want to use in the ad is more or less the same message that sales are already addressing on the field. So it's not like we are making up something completely different than what they are already talking to. And I think that's a good point to actually sit down with the brand team, because if sales and like the field marketer or the marketing manager comes in together and say, well, we have this super high priority, massive deal on the table, and we have to make sure to stand out to them, get the attention, get the engagement and everything. But then we would need to do something more like this, and just we've been in many of those conversations, Eric, and when they at least understand that it's only one company in the world that will see these ads, then they tend to be a bit softer. So it's definitely worth a try, and we're happy to join in to those calls as well. Good. We've run over a few minutes. We will answer all the questions, so we will follow up on that. The guide will be sent out. If you are intrigued by the platform to start activating visibility, create ads, etc., do sign up. You get 3 months completely free. So good. I think we are done for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to us, and it's been our pleasure. Look forward to next time.